Hello, I'm Tsubasa. This is Seoul, South Korea. I just checked out of the hotel where I stayed. Today, I'm gonna join a tour group called DMZ Tour. DMZ stands for Demilitarized Zone. South Korea borders North Korea, and we will go very close to North Korea today. This tour allows you to go to places you cannot visit on your own. Let's check the Google map first. We can find the south side of the Korean peninsula is South Korea. The north side is North Korea. This black line is the border. It is located at about 38 degrees north latitude. In 1945, at the end of World War II, the Korean peninsula was provisionally divided along the 38th parallel, with the Soviet Union occupying the northern part and the United States the southern part. 3 years later, in 1948, Korea and North Korea each declared their independence as a nation. And more 2 years later, in 1950, the Korean War broke out. North Korea crossed the 38th parallel in a surprise attack. China and the Soviet Union were behind the attack. On the Korean side were the US and UN forces. The war continued for about 3 years. It covered almost the entire Korean peninsula, and both sides suffered tremendous damage. In 1953, an armistice was signed. 70 years later, today, the ceasefire is still in force. The war has not ended. The black line on Google Map is not exactly a border, but a military demarcation line defined by the Armistice Agreement. The first stop on the tour is Imujingaku. There is also a tourist information center and an amusement park which is open to civilians. After the ceasefire agreement, many people were unable to return to the north. This is the closest place to North Korea that civilians can come. So there are monuments to pray for the unification of Korea. This peace bell was made by melting down guns and helmets used in the Korean War. This is the Freedom Bridge. It was built in 1963 to exchange prisoners of war with each other. It's connected to the railroad bridge seen over there. But it's now sealed off here. There used to be military personnel stationed on this bridge, but they are not there now. That's why here they are. Although it is forbidden to point cameras at military personnel or installations, they will accept to take your picture. Well, before the Korean peninsula was divided by the US and the Soviet Union, Japan had a history of ruling the entire Korean peninsula for about 35 years, starting in 1910. At that time, the North and South were not divided, and there was a railroad line running through the area. A steam locomotive from those days remain here. Lots of bullet holes are still there. If you look closely at the body of the locomotive, you can see the mark of Mitsubishi, a Japanese company. The railroad track is cut off here. There have been discussions to reopen the railroad connecting the north and south sides. and the works have been done, and this railroad bridge has been restored to function. However, it appears that North Korea is currently refusing to allow trains, including cargo, to pass over the bridge. This railroad bridge originally had two tracks, up and down lines, but the other one is still broken. Part of the bridge remains there. There was a souvenir shop here. This is the only shop in Korea that sells North Korean money. I bought one bill, a 5,000 North Korean won bill, issued in 2006. The person in the portrait is Kim Il-sung. He's the man who founded the Democratic People's Republic of Korea after World War II and established a dictatorship that continues to this day. I got it for 22,000 Korean won. The actual exchange rate is about 7,500 Korean won. I have currencies of about 30 countries in my house, but I have never exchanged money at such a bad rate. Of course, I didn't do it to exchange money this time, but bought it as a souvenir. Alright, we boarded the tour bus again. We are now going to an area where the general public is not allowed to enter. Only participants of tours conducted by authorized companies are allowed to enter the area, and only foreigners are allowed to participate in the tours. During the tour, we have to follow the instructions of our guide. Military personnel boarded the bus and checked each person's passport. We have passed the checkpoint safely. We'll cross the Imugin River. We're supposed to be crossing the bridge here, but I couldn't find it on Google Maps. The road is drawn only up to this. Apparently, from this point forward, we cannot rely on Google Maps. By the way, the tour I joined was accompanied by Japanese and Chinese-speaking tour guides. There are also tours with English-speaking guides. We arrived at the Tora Observatory. This is in the DMZ. It's an arrangement to retreat the troops of both countries 2 kilometers north and south from the military border, and is forbidden to be armed. The green area in this diagram is the DMZ. The blue dotted line to the south of it is marked CCL, which stands for Civilian Controlled Line. Imujingaku, where we just were, is the only place where civilians can enter the civilian controlled zone. The red line is the military demarcation line. And this is the Tora Observatory where we are now. It means over there is North Korea. This is the observation floor. Telescopes are lined up and you can look at the North Korean side. You can see quite far. It's believed that North Korea is working hard to develop nuclear weapons with the money it stole by hacking foreign banks or something. Japan, the US, and other countries cannot take their eyes off this situation. According to the South Korean constitution, there is no such thing as North Korea, and the entire Korean peninsula is supposed to be the Republic of Korea. Therefore, there is a claim that Japan needs the approval of South Korea in the case of an attack on North Korea, which seems to be making the issue even more complicated. The guide said that if you match the telescope and the camera lens perfectly, you can take pictures of North Korean people living in North Korea. She also said that the iPhone 14 is prohibited from taking pictures because its performance is too good. You should bring old phones when you come here. We've moved by the bars again. We'll now visit the third tunnel. Some of the underground tunnels dug by North Korea to invade the South have been discovered, and the third tunnel is one of the largest. This is a photo spot. It's complicated by the fact that even the no photography symbol has been reproduced. There is no video of the real third tunnel because it's prohibited to take pictures, though we got into the tunnel quite deep. You have to walk up and down deeply, and there are places where you have to bend down to get through. So it might be harder than you'd expect. It was quite cold in the tunnel. The tunnel is sealed with 3 concrete walls to prevent invasion from North Korea, and you can visit up to the first wall. By the way, we are prohibited from bringing any belongings, not just cameras, into the tunnels. All belongings must be left in lockers before entering the tunnel. The only thing we are allowed to bring is 1 bottle of water. Even Coke is also prohibited. The time was not so long, so I felt I didn't need to bring water. Moving on again, we stopped at the Unification Village. It's a village on the edge of the civilian-controlled line. In other words, it's the northernmost point where civilians live in Korea. Well, we only stopped by the gift shop though. Grains and vegetables are grown in the village and sold as gifts or souvenirs. I bought some chocolate-coated black beans. I heard it's the most popular one on the tour. The black beans tasted and smelled very good. Originally, we were supposed to visit one more place, Panmunjom. It is where the ceasefire agreement was signed and is located on the military demarcation line. It was one of the highlights of the tour as the only place where civilians could cross the military border of North Korea. In June 2019, a summit meeting was held between the leaders of the United States, North Korea, and South Korea, and the location became a worldwide topic of conversation when President Trump became the first US president to enter the North Korean side since the ceasefire. However, there was an incident about just 2 weeks ago. An American man on a tour deviated from the tour and entered the North Korean side. According to news reports, he was an American soldier who had done something wrong in South Korea, was in military detention, and escaped on his way to be escorted out of the country. He then came to this place as a tourist and tried to go to North Korea himself. We do not know what he was thinking, but he was detained in North Korea and may never leave North Korea again. Since that incident, tours of Panmunjom have been temporarily suspended. Still, the tour was good and the guide was very interesting. The tour fee was 7,404 Japanese yen. I would recommend participating in this tour if you visit Korea. Now, I'm back in Seoul, and I'm going to Daejeon by KTX, the high-speed train. I'm gonna make a separate video of the trip. Thank you for watching. See you.